the bigger villain in Euphoria? Is it Nate or is it Cal, Nate's dad?
You either love or you hate Cassie.
16 or not, she's dumb.
I literally cannot stand Rue and Jules together.
I kind of feel the exact opposite.
I've been cheated on a few times. That's not good to really say.
We start talking about sex and everybody's wanting to get in on the conversation. Welcome everyone, I'm your host, William Yelton, and today we'll be talking with 11 strangers who have just finished watching Season 2, Episode 2 of Euphoria for the first time. Tonight, we hear what these Euphoria superfans have to say as they debate, review, and analyze the episode. At the end of the discussion, each panelist will rank the episode 1 to 10, and I will average up the results to give this episode the official rating provided by the men and women on this panel. I hope you at home will join us for this conversation, and while you're at it, feel free to click that like and subscribe button. It's not easy to wrangle people every week, so any support is greatly appreciated. In the description box below, there are time codes to this discussion. Also, there is a sign-up link available if you'd like to be a future panelist, so let's get right into it. If you had one sentence to describe episode 2, how would you do it? We'll start with you, Romeo.
I would say, damn. Yeah.
Is that a sentence?
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Just right off the bat, I didn't like it as much as the first episode, I would say.
I was feeling very overwhelmed with all of the overlapping stories, but it was really nice.
I also did not like it as much as I liked the first one, but I'm on the I hate Cassie train.
You either love or you hate Cassie.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's put it to the test. Raise your hand if you love Cassie. 5 people said they love Cassie. Raise your hand if you hate Cassie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maddie votes twice. Lover and hates her. Why the hate? Let's go for Aisha.
Just girl code, like that's just like the first thing you learn. You don't mess with your best friend's man.
Markeisha, how do you and Aisha know each other?
We went to the same college and we have mutual friends, and we both moved to LA pretty much at the same time.
I asked because, Aisha brings up girl code, okay? So, you're friends with a girl, right? I want you to imagine Aisha starts, dating an ex-boyfriend. Like, would that be a problem? I mean, like, she's a friend. Aren't you happy that your friend is happy?
Can I just butt in there right there? More than likely, I probably won't like the men that she likes. So we would never bump heads on something like that anyway.
Okay, well, in the 1% chance that Aisha found an ex-boyfriend appealing, Markeisha, are you not happy for her? She's found love.
The code is for her not to do it, but yeah, if she was to do it, then I'm not going to sit here and go bang on her doors or buzz her windows to stop her from doing it. However, she won't be a friend of mine, and I also wouldn't be communicating with him again either. It's just not my thing.
Is there any scenario in which it's okay to date someone that your friend used to date? Anybody want to take up that argument?
We did. I was gonna say we do have one person that we've discussed. We're not gonna name him though. If she ever ran into him, it is what it is. Because I want my friends to eat.
We did have one. We agreed on one.
There's only one where it's like, all right, it is what it is.
It's been discussed.
Obviously, Nate and Maddie were in love and in a serious relationship and all the things. Like, that's just totally disrespectful on Cassie's part. And I had no respect for her.
Well, this is actually kind of brings up a whole nother conversation, which I always find really interesting, because I think oftentimes men will look at a situation and say, why does the girl a lot of times in these situations get the blame and not as much the guy? The girl will go back to the guy, and then she'll lose the friend. So like, why do you think that happens in life? Why does the guy not get as much of the blood on his hands?
I think because guys get away with a lot more stuff, and usually culturally or societally, it's like, oh, it's okay if the guy does it. Oh, he's a man, he's got stronger urges or whatever, like he gets. I remember, my ex-husband, he used to say men are allowed 7 murders. You know what I mean? Like, that's how much they're forgiven. But if a woman does something, whether it be, cheating or whatever, it's like definitely looked at a lot stronger.
I think like the hate that Cassie gets is kind of like ridiculous. Like I think we sometimes forget when watching this show that these are like high school students. They're like juniors in high school. She's like 16. She's going through puberty, going through so much like stress. And I feel like she just wants someone to like love her and like choose her first and put her first, because she didn't get it at home. And Maddie, I feel like, is selfish and always gonna put Nate first, and Nate's manipulating the fuck out of her. And so I love how you brought that up, that everyone is getting mad about like, oh, the woman, and blaming Cassie for this poor decision making, and she's not right. Like, that's like, girl code is girl code, bro code is bro code, like however you want to put it. You shouldn't do that in general, but people like are throwing her through the mud.
Absolutely. That was beautiful.
To Jalen's point, I get what you're saying, but you also have to look at the fact that most people don't expect much from dudes. The reason why they like allow dudes to do what they do is because they say a guy is going to be a guy. Is that a right thing? No, it's not. But that's how a lot of people are approaching it, and why Nate is being able to get away with the manipulation that he's getting away. Cassie, on the other hand, she has the autonomy to make the decisions that she's making. She said it herself. I keep making bad decisions. Like, she is very fully aware of the type of decisions that she's making, but she's allowing other type of things like her jealousy and her envy of Maddie to get in the way and make her make these stupid decisions that make her look stupid. I'm sorry. She just looks dumb. 16 or not, she's dumb.
This is my theory with it. I feel like she's drawn to Nate, one, because he's giving her the attention, right? And then two, he's fucked up in the head, right? I think she thinks or knows that she's kind of fucked up too, right? So it's like, you have issues, I have issues. You still like me though. So it's like, I don't really have to be anybody but myself, kind of. That's what I kind of get from it.
And when you said that Nate's fucked up in the head, was this before or after he was punched by Fez?
Well, before that.
While we're on the subject of Nate and his kind of fucked up head, let's take a look at the ending scene, the cliffhanger, and then discuss.
You want to tell me why some punk drug dealer beat you up?
Sure you want to have this conversation?
Yeah, Nate, I do.
You remember that classmate of mine that you fucked? Jules? They keep threatening to go down to the police station and say that you like to fuck little kids. So maybe I was sticking up for you.
I didn't know she went to your school. I didn't know how old she was.
She didn't know is that you were filming her.
Do you have it? Nate? Do you have it?
This is the first time that these two characters are having a conversation about what is in that room, correct?
Yeah. First time the tape that we like, he actually knows that he has the tape. We saw that Nate had it, but we haven't seen his dad know that he had it.
So what do we think of the scene?
This was my favorite scene. That's why when I saw this scene, that's when I like stopped thinking about like all the crazy relationships and like all the drama and the 16-year-old girls and the sex. It's kind of coming to a head, and I think it's going to be really an awesome episode next week.
I hate this scene because that's where the lie come from. Y'all know I don't like Nate, and he just flat out lies. But now I'm thinking the dad is gonna be upset and try to get back, the tape and like ruin everybody, especially Fez. He better not bother. If he go and they do something else to him, I'm gonna be on scene next week.
Yeah, I really thought he was gonna shoot him. I couldn't believe he pulled out money. I was really like, the kid, like, Ashtray ran in the back to grab the gun. Like, he knew someone was going down.
Ashtray's always ready.
Nate likes to ruin relationships. He likes to ruin friendships. He likes to have power, like we talked about last week. And it seems as though Nate has a new person that he can control at this point. And he hasn't learned any lessons. We see that in his reaction to his dad. So I really feel like he is going to run with this.
I think he's going to use Cassie to get to Maddie to get that tape back. And that's why I think he's playing with Cassie.
Who's the bigger villain in Euphoria? Is it Nate or is it Cal, Nate's dad? You should all see the poll question on your screen. Please click Nate or click Cal. 82% of this panel said Nate. 18% said Cal. So who wants to be team Nate's the big villain of the season? Melody, go.
He beats his girlfriend and he made a guy go to jail last season, like for no reason. He went and beat the guy almost to death. Like Nate just has a long list of things that make him the villain.
All right, but then 2 people at this panel said it was Cal. So raise your hand if you were those 2 people. Jalen and Maddie. So Jalen, why?
Nate is very erratic and like controlled by his emotions, and Cal is very methodical. He scopes out, he plans, and to me that's way more dangerous because he's more unpredictable, because we don't know what he's capable of. I think he will do whatever it takes to protect his secrets, and he cares most about himself and his image, and if he hates his own son, he will sell him out to protect himself.
It's his fault for how Nate turned out. I mean, whether there was whatever in Nate's brain, like he nurtured that psychopath in him.
The first thing I noticed when Nate was in the hospital was the generational trauma. When he said, you know, just like his dad, and then just like his dad. So it's like, this has been going on for who knows how many generations. I mean, just down the line, there's a lot of drama that's going on with that family.
So that opens up a whole nother debate, which is, it seems like on the debate of nature versus nurture, people are siding on this call of nurture, that he is the way he is because of his dad. But then the other argument is nature. It's just like, he is who he is.
I grew up with just my dad, and my 2 siblings both have different dads. And they grew up with my mom. I grew up with just my dad. We are both raised completely differently. And I believe how, you know, I was raised and nurtured by my dad has a huge effect on who I've become and how I lead my life. I believe how we were nurtured both growing up has a huge effect on what decisions we've made and how our life has become. So I think that's a very true in this sense as well, and that he was nurtured by his dad, and he's a lot responsible for what Nate has become.
And who wants to be the side of nature?
I would say that it's more of a nature situation because honestly, yes, you have influence from your parents, but at the end of the day, you're still your own person and you still make your own decisions. Like Nate wasn't necessarily the most innocent of children when we saw in the flashback. Like he was over there snooping on his father's computer looking for stuff. Like that had to come from somewhere, which naturally is an inclination that happens when you're just that type of person, you know? And I mean, all the decisions that he's made as a teenager, those were things that he decided to do. He didn't have to go down the route that he chose to do. But at the end of the day, you know, Nate is still his own person, just like his father's his own person. And I think Nate's the way that he is because that's just him.
But anyway, let's move on. Shifting to another storyline, let's talk about Rue and her friendship with Elliot, the new character on the block. Let's take a look at this scene and then discuss.
Who have you lost?
My dad. It was cancer.
Is that why you started doing drugs?
That's what everybody asks in rehab. You know, like, I wish it was that simple, you know? Like, well, my dad died, so I started doing drugs.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think it's a good thing that we're friends?
Yeah, why?
I just feel like we might not bring out the best in each other.
I feel like I'm okay with that.
All right, before we get into the scene, how do we feel about this new relationship between Rue and Elliot? Do you like it or do you not like it? You should all see the poll question on your screen. Please click yes or no, and then we will analyze the results. 73%, 8 out of 11 say they like Rue and Elliot, whereas 27%, 3 out of this 11-person panel say they do not like it. Why do you like these two together?
I want to be clear. If this was a real situation in real life, no, I would scream, please get out of there. This screams toxicity. Like, even when he mentioned we bring out the worst in each other. But for TV, I really like this relationship. Just comparing it to the first season, Rue was just so sad and dark the entire time. I mean, sometimes it just had me feel sad and dark. But seeing their dynamic together, I mean, she's laughing and dancing. Don't get me wrong, they're still doing drugs and they're high. But I feel like I'm seeing a different piece of her from this relationship. So that's why I like the relationship for TV.
It's me comparing their dynamic versus her dynamic with Jules, and I literally cannot stand Rue and Jules together. Like, I wish they would just end it. And the only reason why I say that is because Rue is selfish, but Jules is also selfish. She spent the whole first season like leading her on. And it's like the moment somebody else is giving Rue attention, now she wants to cry and be like, oh my God, like you're being mean to me. Like I'm so over it. So I feel like with Elliot, he's able to like be himself. She's able to be herself, even though it's terrible for them to be that way anyway. But I feel like she's naturally becoming more open and not afraid to express how she feels without backlash like it is with Jules.
I kind of feel the exact opposite of Aisha. I thought that Jules and Rue kind of brought out the more honest, true versions of each other, and they really saw each other for who they really were. I think her relationship with Elliot, I don't think there's really any substance to it. You know, Jules called it a crush. She might think he's cute or whatever, but I think she saw someone at a party that had drugs. And now I feel like she's just using him because she says he gets a lot of money. He gets drugs all the time. I think she's just using him.
The only person Rue needs to be with is with a doctor in a rehab facility, because we're comparing like the lesser of two evils right now. She's not good with Elliot. I love Elliot as a character. He's great. But Rue doesn't need to be with Elliot or Jules.
I agree. She needs to be in rehab and she needs to figure that out. But it's good to be with someone who understands you on that level and you have a place to go, right? To even if you're going to rehab or whatever, you still have to have a person who's looking out for you. And I feel like Elliot did take care of her in the bathroom in the previous thing. And she's been going there and hanging out with him a lot, although I feel like that's technically in a way cheating on Jules, because she's not even telling Jules that he's been hanging out with her. So in a way, she is kind of cheating on Jules, because if you can't admit that you're doing something, although it's not physical, it's emotional, and it's also cheating on Jules with drugs too, right? She'd rather do drugs than to spend time with Jules.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Shahana, because I actually was having this debate recently with someone, which is define cheating. Because I think for the longest time, my idea of cheating was physical. But the person I was having this conversation with, and let me make this clear, it was not someone referring to me, but they were saying that emotional cheating is even more painful than physical cheating.
It is very much worse. I honestly been through a situation like that where, you know, I've been cheated on a few times. That's not good to really say. But I've been cheated on physically, where it was like, they mean nothing to me. You know, it's just something. I'm like, you wasn't getting enough, you know, from me. Okay. And then I've been cheated on emotionally, and I felt like that hurt more because emotionally they're able to discuss things with them that they're not discussing with you. They're able to, I guess, be, like she said, be herself. She can't be herself with Jules. She's able to, you know, let loose and express herself more to this person. I think emotionally it hurts a lot more because now that person knows more about you. That person can relate to you more than the person you're supposedly, you know, supposed to be with.
Well, Toya, all of those guys are stupid because you're quite the catch. So F all of them.
I don't know that this would be considered emotional cheating because, yeah, she said like she has a crush on Elliot, but I mean, like they haven't talked about anything like relationship wise. So I, again, think it is just like a double life. And she's finally just found a friend that could be in that double life with her.
She didn't even tell Elliot she was in a relationship with Jules. And I think that's what made Jules mad, is like, okay, if there wasn't anything, why would you be hiding it?
Yeah.
But did she not want to tell her because she liked him or because she was doing drugs and she didn't want to get called out?
That's why. I thought it was cool how like you could see the way Jules saw that meeting, and it's because she thought something shady was going on relationship wise with them. But Rue's perspective was she was freaking out because she thought like he would talk about like, oh yeah, we got so fucked up on New Year's.
Exactly. I think that's what's more like she's cheating on Jules with drugs right now.
Cheating emotionally versus cheating, you know, sexually or cheating with drugs. I think the sex and drugs all come from an addiction. There's a problem in the relationship.
Shahana says there are two types of cheating. I would argue there are three types of cheating. There's the emotional cheating, there's the physical cheating, and there's the imaginary cheating. So the last scene of tonight revolves around Kat. Let's take a look and then we will discuss. That was a good transition, was it not?
I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick. Okay. I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay? I just have to go to the bathroom real quick, okay
Kira.
Okay.
We haven't talked a lot about Kat over episode 1 and 2, so here's our opportunity. What do we think of Kat's storyline this season?
I definitely have been in her shoes before, to where the nice guy is like the guy that I would pay dust. And it's just like, no, I need some spunk. I don't need it to be toxic, but I need it to be interesting. And if it's not interesting enough, then I'm probably going to start thinking like, all right, should I like fool around with somebody else? Should I drop them? You know?
Aisha, how often have you said it's not you, it's me?
I would not used to say that when I was very immature. I would think it, but I would never say it. Now I can say like, you know what, like you're cool, but like this isn't gonna work because I'm not the person for you, and just leave it at that.
Sometimes you just want like that little extra spice, in particular as far as
Like
her
Nate.
in this case, the bedroom. But, you know, not Nate. Well, not Nate, but
more like McKay.
Okay, McKay.
McKay.
Well, McKay also can get in a little trouble too. You
Yeah.
know, if we remember
But I
episode
don't
1
like
of
Nate.
season 1.
We just want assertiveness.
Yeah.
Like you can't be a woman
there.
I'm gonna hold on. Actually, I'm gonna start taking notes if you guys don't know. Okay?
Yeah.
Got my pencil out. Okay.
Well, now we're gonna have to start billing you if you do that.
Oh, okay.
You have to be able to like have a give and take. It's never gonna work with like a woman that has like that type of personality. So I feel like Ethan is just so, I don't know, even before they got together, like he was still kind of like shy and not assertive in certain things. And I just feel like he has to work on that. Maybe it might help. I don't know. I feel like it might not help because she probably needs to work on herself more.
I said maybe.
Wow, we start talking about sex and everybody's wanting to get in on the conversation tonight.
No,
Romeo.
honestly, I did want to though, because like gender aside, I think it's just people in general like folks that are aggressive or that are assertive in what they want. And I think it's just, we want someone that's nice and that's going to treat us well, of course, but it's like, sometimes nice is just a little bit too nice. We want someone that's also stands firm in what they believe in and can be a little bit bullheaded and challenge you a little bit.
Didn't he go down on her with vampire teeth at a party like last season? I'd say that's pretty assertive. I don't know, maybe I'm a little tame, but seems assertive. But yeah, I think she is going through her own thing, and I think she has her own body image issues, and I think she definitely has, you know, some sexual things that she needs to work out too, you know, with all of her cam girl experiences. So I think she just has this maybe skewed sense of what is normal sexually for, you know, with all these weird guys who are asking her to do this and that and role play. She's not used to like sexual relationships normally. She's used to cam girl stuff. So I think it's just exactly what everyone's been saying, not exciting for her, even if he is assertive.
I feel like you have your Maddies who like a little bit of like the darkness in the relationship, and you have your Cassies who would appreciate anybody who just loves them and treats them well, and that's what they crave. And I think there's like a perfect example of like both sides of that spectrum.
So are we saying that maybe we're shipping Ethan and Cassie season 6?
I think Cassie would be okay with it. He seems like a great guy.
What would be that name? Team hashtag what?
Hashtag easy.
Easy. I love it.
It's kind of an underlying theme of all of these relationships. You want what you don't have. Like Kat finally got what she wanted, and now she doesn't want it. And Maddie is over there jealous over that, but she still wants Nate. And Cassie wants Nate. So it's everyone wants what they don't have. The grass is always going to be greener on the other side.
I mean, she just needs to get Ethan dressing up as a Dothraki, and then all is good.
Listen, that is like my favorite thing, okay? My dog name is Drogon. That's how much I'm obsessed with Game of Thrones. So when that scene came up, I like literally, it was my favorite. So thank you for showing it.
All right, there is only one thing left to do, and that is to review. Each of you has sent me your ratings for the episode 1 to 10, 1 meaning you hated it, and 10 being you absolutely loved it. I have averaged all the numbers together, and it is time for me to reveal the results. Tonight, the panel has rated this episode as a 6.3. Someone rated it a 4. Who raise your hand if you rated it a 4? All right, Sam, why?
I really wasn't that impressed. I liked the story bits that we got here and there, but I thought the way it was put together, I really liked the focus of the first episode on Nate. I really wanted it to be focused on another person like that episode. And it just, I don't know, it didn't bring me the story like I wanted it to bring me the story.
I didn't like how it was just all over the place and hard to follow. And like that they were trying to cover so much in one episode. It was really hard to have those jaw-dropping moments when you're covering, all those different storylines.
I rated it an 8 because I thought it was actually a really good follow-up episode to the first episode of the season. I think a lot of times with these shows that are very heavy on the drama, that they need something a little bit on the subtle side and something that kind of helps further the story along. And I felt as though this episode did a good job in helping put together some pieces to the story and also leaving us wanting more of some of the stories that we've already been introduced to.
I actually appreciated the jumping back and forth because the first time I watched it, I was a little drunk. So I had to watch it again because I was like, what's going on? But then the dialogue kind of helped it. And it's just like, I felt like it wasn't out of place with how Euphoria is. It just wasn't focused on one character like it is every time. But I think that change kind of helped break it up a little bit.
All right, well, that concludes today's discussion on season 2, episode 2 of Euphoria. Come back next week to hear what some of these panelists and more have to say about episode 3. Coming up later this week, we hear from 10 superfans of Scream as they debate and give their raw reactions after having watched the 5th movie of the franchise. Spoiler alert, the panel is divided, and you will want to check that out. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We are also on the podcast app, so type "Who Needs a Film Critic" to get all the episodes downloaded straight to your phone. That's all for now. Good night.
When are we going to talk about Mikado? Next week?